Have you ever felt like life was just too heavy to carry? We all have moments when anxiety hits, when the future feels uncertain, or when our plans fall apart, when the weight of life seems too much to handle. But here's the good news: God never asked us to carry it alone. And this week, we've been learning what it looks like to move from anxiety to hope, to go from being weighted down to being lifted up by the presence of God. If you've been anxious, exhausted, or just barely hanging on, this message is for you this week. God offers real peace, real presence, and real hope for those who trust in Him. So, how do we actually move then from anxiety to hope? God doesn't leave us guessing. Through His Word, He gives us a path to follow, a series of truths that meet us right where we are. He invites us to surrender what we can't control, pray instead of panic, find peace in His presence, rest in His care, trust His mercy, and stand strong in His strength. And hold on to living hope, the living hope we have in Jesus. So let's walk that path together, starting with the first step: surrendering the weight. Anxiety grows when we think we have to handle everything ourselves. Peter writes, "Humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and at the right time, He will lift you up. Give all your worries and cares to God, for He cares about you." Humility is what makes surrender possible. Pride says, "I can carry this." But humility says, "God, I need you." Casting your cares on God isn't weakness, but it's worship. It's trusting that He is strong enough to carry what we can't. And when you release control, you make room for His care. When we surrender the weight, the next step is to talk to the one who carries it. And that's where prayer comes in. Paul gives us a simple but powerful pattern. He would say, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for what He has done. Then you will experience God's peace." See, there's an order here that matters. Don't worry, pray, tell God, thank Him, then peace comes. See, we often want peace first, but peace follows trust. When you choose prayer over panic and gratitude over fear, you're choosing faith. Peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of God right in the middle of them. And then, if the weight doesn't lift right away, and oftentimes it doesn't, when the tears still come, remember that even then, God is near. It reminds me of Psalms 34:18. David would write, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed." He wrote that after one of the lowest and most fearful moments in his life. When your heart feels shattered, that's not where your story ends. It's where God's healing begins. His nearness isn't based on how strong you feel, it's rooted in His love for you. You may not feel strong, but you're not forgotten. God's presence meets you in the middle of your pain. And when you're worn out from the battle, God doesn't just offer comfort, but He offers rest. And that takes us to point four: Jesus gives rest. Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry a heavy burden, and I will give you rest." Real rest isn't about running away from life or your problems, but it's found in coming to Jesus. He doesn't just lighten your load, but He walks beside you and He teaches you to find rest for your soul, but you're only going to find it in Him. You don't have to keep pushing on empty. Jesus' rest is real because His presence is real. And even when life feels dark and hopeless, God's mercy still meets us every morning. And that takes us to point five: hope in the dark. We see this in Lamentations 3:22 through 23, when Jeremiah wrote, "The faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is His faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each morning." He said that in the middle of a broken city, surrounded by lost, and yet he still declared God's faithfulness. Every sunrise is proof that mercy resets the day. See, yesterday's failures don't cancel today's grace. Even in the darkest seasons, God's faithfulness shines the brightest. And that's why we don't have to live in fear, because the one who holds tomorrow is already with us today. And so we can confidently say that we don't need to fear because God is with us. Isaiah 41:10 says, God says, "Don't be afraid. For I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and I will help you. Fear loses power when we remember who walks with us. Courage doesn't come from pretending everything's okay. It comes from knowing that God stands beside you. He doesn't just say, don't be afraid. He promises that I am with you. I will strengthen you. You are never alone. And that promise of his presence is what gives us the anchor that we need because our hope isn't dead or distant. It's alive. And that takes us to the last point that we made this week, our living hope. 1 Peter 1:3 says, now we live with great expectation, and we have a priceless inheritance through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. Our hope isn't fragile, it's living because Jesus is alive. The resurrection didn't just change eternity, it changes today. Because he rose, our future is secure and our present is filled with expectation. So if you feel like hope is running out, look to Jesus. He's not just your last option, he's your first option. He's your living hope. He's the only option. All of this brings us back full circle from anxiety to hope, from fear to faith, from restlessness to peace. So, when anxiety arises, remember what's true. God cares for you. He gives peace that guards your heart. He draws near in pain. He offers rest to the weary. His mercy renews every morning, and his strength is greater than fear. And his hope is alive because he is alive. So, what burden do you need to cast before him today? What fear have you been trying to carry alone? What situation have you been holding tight instead of letting go? When you put your cares in God's hands, you'll find his peace in your heart. Let him carry what was never meant for you to bear, and let his hope anchor your soul. See, anxiety may visit, but hope lives here. Because where Jesus is, peace always follows. If this encouraged you, share it with someone. Like, subscribe, and follow for more daily and weekly encouragement.